Question 57. Retributive theory of punishment and its defects. Introduction. The concept of punishment. Punishment is one of the oldest instruments of social control used by the state to maintain law, order, and justice. It represents society's reaction against crime and wrongdoing. Over time, different theories have sought to justify punishment, among them the retributive theory, deterrent theory, preventive theory, and reformative theory. The retributive theory of punishment is the most ancient and morally charged one. It is based on the idea of moral revenge or retaliation, that the wrongdoer must suffer because he deserves it. It does not focus on reform or deterrence, but on just retribution, restoring the moral balance disturbed by the crime. 1. Meaning and origin of retributive theory. The word retribution comes from the Latin retribuere, meaning to pay back. Hence, the retributive theory is often summarized as the principle of an eye for an eye or a tooth for a tooth. This theory asserts that punishment is morally justified when it is deserved and that the offender must suffer in proportion to the gravity of his wrongdoing. The purpose is not utility, reform, or prevention, it is justice through deserved suffering. Historically, this idea can be traced to ancient codes like the Code of Hammurabi, 1750 BCE, which prescribed exact retaliation, and to biblical justice, as in Exodus 21, 23, 25. If there is harm, then you shall give life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth. 2. Philosophical basis of the theory. The retributive theory rests on moral and legal grounds. Its foundation lies in the notion of moral responsibility and desert, the belief that individuals are free moral agents accountable for their actions. If one violates the moral or legal order, justice demands that he pay for it. Thus, punishment is not a means to an end, like deterrence or reformation, but an end in itself, a form of moral compensation to restore justice. Immanuel Kant and G.W.F. Hegel, two great philosophers, gave the theory its classical justification. Kant's view. In his Metaphysics of Morals, Kant argued that punishment must be inflicted because he has committed a crime, not for any social benefit. Justice demands that guilt must be repaid by pain. Hegel's view. Hegel saw punishment as the negation of a negation, crime negates law, and punishment restores it, reaffirming the moral order of the state. Hence, both viewed punishment as a moral necessity, not a social instrument. 3. Main principles of the retributive theory. I. Moral desert. Punishment is justified only when the offender deserves it. The focus is on the crime committed, not on future consequences. 2. Proportionality. The punishment must be proportionate to the seriousness of the offense. Neither excessive cruelty nor undue leniency is justifiable. 3. Justice, not utility. Retribution aims at justice, not social utility. It does not seek to reform the criminal or deter others, but to ensure moral balance through deserved suffering. 4. Moral restoration. Punishment restores the moral equilibrium disturbed by crime. It reaffirms society's faith in justice and law. Responsibility and free will. Retribution assumes that individuals act out of free will, hence they are morally responsible for their actions and must face the consequences. 4. Illustrations and examples. Example 1. If a person commits murder, the retributive theory would demand that he be punished, possibly with death, because he deserves it, not because it will deter others or reform him. Example 2. In ancient societies, retaliatory justice, such as the death penalty for murder, flogging for theft, or mutilation for assault was justified under this doctrine. Example 3. Even in modern times, when courts impose life imprisonment or death penalty for heinous crimes like terrorism or premeditated murder, the justification often includes a retributive element, punishment as moral repayment for the gravity of guilt. 5. Merits and justifications of the retributive theory. I. Moral justification. It satisfies the moral intuition of justice that wrongdoing must be punished. It restores public confidence in the rule of law. 2. Emotional satisfaction. It gives emotional closure to victims and society by ensuring that the offender suffers for his wrongdoing. 3. Upholds moral order. By enforcing punishment proportionate to guilt, it maintains the moral and legal balance of society. 4. Recognition of human responsibility. It acknowledges that individuals are responsible for their actions, reinforcing accountability. Foundation of legal justice. Modern legal systems still reflect retributive elements through the principle of just deserts. 6. Defects and criticisms of the retributive theory. While the retributive theory fulfills moral instincts of justice, it suffers from several ethical, social, and practical defects. Element of revenge. The theory often degenerates into vengeance, making punishment appear as state-sanctioned revenge rather than justice. Critics argue that the purpose of law should be correction, not retaliation. Example: the maxim "eye for an eye" can lead to an endless cycle of cruelty, as Mahatma Gandhi warned, "An eye for an eye will make the whole world blind." 2. Neglect of reformation. Retributive punishment focuses solely on the offense and suffering, ignoring the possibility of reforming the offender into a responsible citizen. This is ethically and socially regressive. Example: a young offender may be morally corrected through rehabilitation rather than harsh retribution, which may harden him. 3. No deterrent or preventive value. It punishes only to balance the scales, without aiming to deter future crimes or prevent recurrence. Thus, it has limited practical effectiveness in maintaining public order. 4. Disregard for social and psychological factors. The theory assumes free will and equal moral responsibility, ignoring factors like poverty, ignorance, environment, or mental illness, which may contribute to crime. It treats all offenders alike without considering circumstances or motives. Inhuman and cruel consequences. Historically, retributive justice often led to barbaric punishments, flogging, mutilation, and death, violating human dignity. Modern humanitarian thought rejects such cruelty as morally indefensible. 6. Static and negative approach. The theory looks backward, at the crime, not forward, toward social good. It fails to recognize the dynamic role of punishment in reforming individuals and strengthening society. 7. Ethical contradiction. The idea of inflicting pain to condemn pain creates a moral paradox, punishing an evil act with another evil act. Critics like Bentham and John Stuart Mill argued that punishment must serve social utility, not mere retaliation. 7. Modern evaluation. Modern jurisprudence no longer accepts pure retribution as the sole justification for punishment. However, its moral element of justice and proportionality still influences criminal law. Contemporary systems combine retribution with deterrence, prevention, and reform, ensuring that punishment is just but humane. For instance, courts may impose severe punishment for heinous crimes, reflecting retributive justice, while also allowing for rehabilitation in lesser offenses, reflecting reformative ideals. Thus, modern penal philosophy seeks a balance between justice and compassion. Summary for quick understanding. Retributive theory of punishment holds that punishment is morally justified when it is deserved and should be proportionate to the crime. Its main aim is moral balance, not deterrence or reformation. However, it suffers from defects such as vengeful spirit, lack of reformative value, cruelty, and neglect of social causes. Modern systems accept proportional justice from retribution, but reject revenge-based punishment, blending it with humanitarian and reformative principles. Quick revision notes. Meaning, punishment as moral retribution or repayment of evil with evil. Aim, justice through deserved suffering. Philosophers Immanuel Kant, Hegel. Principle, an eye for an eye. Merits, moral justice, accountability, social order. Defects, vengeance, cruelty, no reform or deterrence, neglect of causes. Modern view, combine retribution with reform and deterrence. One-line questions and answers for revision. 1. What does the retributive theory mean? Punishment as deserved retaliation for wrongdoing. 2. What is its key principle? An eye for an eye. 3. Who were its main proponents? Immanuel Kant and Hegel. 4. What is its aim? Moral justice, not social utility. 5. What is its main strength? Restores moral balance and accountability. 6. What is its chief defect? It resembles revenge, not justice. 7. Does it reform the criminal? No, it only inflicts suffering. 8. What social factors does it ignore? Poverty, environment, psychology. 9. What is its modern relevance? Basis for proportional punishment, just deserts. 10. What do modern theories add to it? Deterrent and reformative elements for humane justice. Final connection. The retributive theory of punishment embodies humanity's ancient instinct for justice, that wrong must be repaid by suffering. Yet, while it provides a moral foundation for accountability and proportionality, it fails as a complete theory of justice because revenge without reformation breeds only more suffering. Modern democratic jurisprudence, inspired by thinkers like Mahatma Gandhi and Bentham, redefines justice not as retaliation but as rehabilitation, where punishment aims not only to repay evil but to restore goodness, both in the individual and in society.